We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
As you can tell, last year it was an off year, but we reloaded and now it is our boss year. Seated back there and yeah, we got the badger. Don't forget my son and don't forget the pass rush. Jameis QB1 dropping down to MT. Ball handed off the Alvin with the quick feet. So when you see the Saints marching, yeah, we gon' trouble you. At the Super Bowl party eating on them double. We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Another episode of the NewOrleans.Football podcast coming to you live from the Better Called Bado podcast studios. And as always, we're presented by Sant CPA. Second week of training camp, there's a lot going on. I feel like we're starting to figure out what's actually happening with this team. As I see here right now, I'm very optimistic about the things we're seeing from Mike Thomas. So that is a major development. I think the team overall is looking better than maybe I even expected. So there's a lot for us to talk about, to unpack throughout this next hour. What matters, what doesn't, some of the trends, some of the things we're worried about, some of the things that are going well. We're going to hit it all. Big show. Going to be the best show that we've done in a while, I think. I'm feeling it tonight. I'm in the mood to talk about the team. Joined as always by Kevin Washington. I'm Nick Underhill. Kevin, what's going on with you, man?
Not much, man. I'm good. I'm just ready to talk some football too, man. I'm with you. This feels like it's gonna be a good pod. It's a lot of things happening, and it's a lot of optimism around the team. So, I want to make sure we're covering it objectively, but you just call it how you see it, and it looks good. So, can't wait to get into it.
All right. So if you are a business owner needing some guidance with your daily accounting, Daniel Sant CPA can help get your finances in order. They provide relevant accounting information, detailed analysis, and clear communication in a timely manner. Call today, 318-321-2765, or visit santcpa.com. Or if you need legal help with any of the following: car wrecks, offshore injuries, 18-wheeler collisions, Maritime and Jones Act, hurricane and storm claims, you better call Bado at 504-323-4777 or 985-677-1085 for your free consultation and case review. BadoLaw.com. And check out our guys, Firehouse Subs. It's what we eat every day for camp.
Come on, I got the Firehouse love. I got the Firehouse love right here.
You bring it to the house if you don't want to go there, but if you go there in person or if you're ordering it, whatever you're doing, Betts Boulevard location, hit them up. Those are the guys. They're part of our team. Make them part of your team. And what do you think of this team?
That's the only sub we acknowledge. There's no other ones in the world.
So, yeah, let's get into it, man. What do you want to talk about?
Your studio.
Yeah, it's looking good, man. It's the Bado Law podcast studio. We got the lights going. On the other side, we got the in-person setup going in right now. So we're going to be doing some big things in there. Some big guests. Some big things happening come September. We're gonna have a nice little lineup. Man. We got a whole new format in plan for the podcast for the season. We got our guy Desi Vega sponsoring starting then. So there's a lot of things we got going on. So it's gonna be a lot of big changes on the pod. It's gonna be going up. We're taking it to the next level, maybe the next 2 levels. We might be skipping a whole rung on the ladder. I'm excited about the stuff we got going on. I cannot wait.
Goosebumps, bro. Chill out.
I can't wait for the season, man. Podcast is going to be completely changed, but completely better, man. So, me and Kev got big things in store coming to the pod.
If you're subscribed to NewOrleans.Football, thank you. If you know someone that's not, tell them it's about to get real crazy around this joint, and they just need to get on the train. I will say, looking at your studio, it's no way that I'm recording next week in the same setup that I got. Like, I got I'm about to put my little flat screen, put a NewOrleans.Football logo on the background. That's an act of war what you're doing right now. So
It's an act of war on everybody. Got to level up, man. Level up your settings, man.
hey, listen, man. You know I got like neon lights all over here, so I'm coming through with the grown and sexy studio too. You ain't the only one that's gonna set the mood. But let's get into football. So there is no bigger thing going on with this team right now, in my opinion, than what we're seeing out of Mike Thomas. I think it's significant, right? And I think it could really kind of change, a lot of things about the season. Right now, it has to play out on the field, and there's a lot of training camp left, et cetera. But if you're getting a version of what he used to be, I think that's a big deal. So, question for you: what were your expectations of Mike before training camp, and where do they sit now?
I think I was always pretty much a believer.
You were.
I was, yeah. I mean, look, everybody was kind of doubting, and I kind of always was a little bit of a believer. I kind of thought he was always going to come back. I thought maybe 80% was the worst it was going to be. And, the point I was making was the same point he kind of made about his health, was that when he was playing the last time we saw him, he was injured and he was making plays and he was still getting open and he was dominating people. Yeah. And we wrote this story when it happened, like on the way to the Philly game, he kind of let them know, like, I can't do anymore. Like,
yeah, this is it.
My health is not good. Like, this has to be it for me. And I think the idea was to get well and come back for the playoffs. But even going into that game, like, it was the end of the road and he still produced. Like, so the idea of him being like completely dumb was hard for me to fathom. I mean, obviously it was within the realm of possibility because he had missed a year of football, had 2 surgeries. Things can happen, but I kind of always felt that he was going to come back. But look, I can't front. Like, I think he's playing better than I thought he's going to be playing. And I thought it was going to be like, iffy week 1. Like, is he going to be ready? Is he going to be? I would be extremely surprised if he is not ready to play week 1. I look at him and I think he can go out and play a game right now, get open, make plays, and be Mike. Like, he looks like Mike to me. He's getting open. He's making physical plays. Yeah. He's the violence in his cuts are still there. Like, he's cutting and getting open. He's creating just enough separation to make a physical catch with pulsing the Debo in coverage. Debo's playing him tough though too. So I'll got to tip the hat to 29 there. But
it kind of validates what he's been doing though in a lot of ways.
He got some flags today though, and that was kind of the concern about him a little bit. Was this stuff being a little bit too over the line? But yeah, look, everything we're seeing with him, I think, is on the right track. Now, there's like a few things where it kind of feels like, all right, he's got to get used to being back in these like fully locked in competitive situations. Like, he had a catch the other day, and if you watch the replay of it, he was tagged and thought he was down, but like,
the Tyrann Matthew strip.
Yeah, he didn't hold the ball all the way through. Like, so it's just like kind of some of those things where it's just like, normal Mike probably, he kind of has that like KG in him where even if the play's dead and someone shoots the ball, like, he's going up and swatting it out. He's not letting someone make it on his hoop. Like, I don't think you normally see someone knock the ball away from Mike Thomas in any situation. So it's just maybe some of those things kind of getting back into the cadence of like the full onslaught of competitiveness, people coming at your neck and all that stuff. But look, he's making catches. He's going to the ground. He's getting hit a little bit. He's holding on to the ball. He's getting back up. I mean, I think those are all the things that kind of matter. I'd be surprised if he plays against Houston. I'm really, really, really hoping we see him in these practices because I just want that. Yeah, I just want that further barometer, more competitiveness.
Jari Alexander, in Green Bay.
It's just another hurdle. It's kind of, you keep leveling up through, punch out and, you got to go Glass Joe to the next guy. And then you're up against King Hippo. So like, he just has to keep climbing through the ranks, until he gets to Mike and, that's it. So I think it's going to get there. I think he's going to be ready for week 1. I think he's going to compete. He's getting back to the point where he's open so often that the ball's just going to him more than everybody else. Like, he's demanding all the stuff he used to demand with his play. And I like where he's at, man. I like everything we're seeing. I couldn't be more optimistic really than I am right now. Like, he looks really normal, man. He looks really, really normal. It's possible that it's not all the way. I don't know, but like whatever he is right now is an extremely good NFL wide receiver. And I think he's kind of setting the bar. Like, he's right up there. And look, the guys you're comparing him against, Jarvis Landry looks amazing. Chris Olave looks amazing. Like, you got a number 1 pick. You got a dude that's, on Mike's level as far as like how often
That's the
he
guy
gets
who
open.
Mike broke off. Mike
Yeah.
had to break his records.
He set the standard that Mike reset. He looks good compared to him. So, I don't know. Like, we just got to keep seeing it, but I think it's definitely on the right track.
Good thing. Yeah, the only, I guess for me, and this is just lack of knowing, but I would say the last hurdle I would think would be for him would just be volume, right? Like, right now he's probably, because once you come back from an injury, then typically you may feel good on a certain day, but then you may have days where you're a little bit tired and it just has to recover. So that would, in my mind, just be the last hurdle, like where he just is no longer having to do any type of maintenance. But I think that is a very welcome, if you'd have told me 3 weeks ago that this would have been the case, then, I don't know what my win total was for the season, but I'd at least added a win. I think Mike Thomas gives you at least 1 win, right? When you just look at the impact that he can have on the field. And I thought you alluded to something that I think is like, it's pretty jarring. It's like he came back and instantly just became the number 1 receiver, right? It was like he came back on the field and he started looking like Mike, right? And you said as good as Jarvis look, as good as Jarvis's look, Olave's look good, Kirk Merritt, Traquan Smith. Gosh, Traquan, I'm gonna have to apologize to that man once he have a big ear. But like, all these other guys are playing well, like they have depth at receiver. But at the end of the day, Mike is still the alpha dog, and that just, like, that mentality that he has and the person that he was and the way that he plays the game, like, it's all back. And I just think that if you're Jameis Winston, man, you talk about a gift, right? Like, just getting that guy back who is quarterback agnostic, I think it just changes like the outlook of what the potential is for the offense.
That people forget that, like, it's like, oh, he doesn't have Drew. Like, man, he put up numbers with Teddy. He put up numbers with Taysom. He's fine. Like, it doesn't matter. Look, I mean, I think the one thing that we're gonna make a mistake of, not us, but other people, I think are gonna make a mistake of, is that they're gonna compare Mike Thomas to 2019 Mike Thomas numbers, and they aren't going to be the same. They're going to compare Alvin to Alvin's old numbers, and they aren't going to be the same. And they're going to say these guys aren't playing as well, but that's not going to be the case. It's a completely redefined offense. The target share and all that, like, I have no idea what it's going to look like. I don't know how much pass volume there's going to be. I don't know what the split's going to be, but I know when you watch Mike Thomas play football, he's going to look, based on what we're seeing now, probably pretty good. I think when you watch Alvin on film playing football, I think he's going to look really good. And it just depends on the approach. Like, if they send Alvin up the gut this year, just like they did last year, running between the tackles, stack boxes, it's probably going to be 3.8 to 4 yards per carry as opposed to 5.1, some of this stuff. So that doesn't mean that he's not playing as good of football as he used to play. It's just the usage and the change rate. But I can guarantee you that Alvin is not going to have 81 targets. Like, or 81 catches. It's just probably not going to happen. It's just not that type of offense anymore. It's going to change, and some of that stuff changes with it. That's not going to mean that they took a step back. I think there's going to have to be more critical thinking associated with some of that stuff to kind of make those conclusions. But on the topic of Mike, like, the wide receiver room, I cannot believe the talent that they have available to them right now. And it's relative to last year, it's insane. But just overall, like, Olave looks incredible. Like, the stuff he's doing to get open, it's what everybody thought he was going to be as far as the route running. Like, he sets people up and just
he kind of looks like a veteran in a lot of ways. That's weird saying that about a rookie, but he just looks like a dude that was an NFL player in his former life or something. Like, he
carries himself that way too. Like, he's
I think that's what it is.
Very mature off the field. He speaks, very maturely. He has, he's making mature actions, like, as far as getting involved with the community. Meeting with city council people. Right. And I just think you see that maturity on the field with, kind of how he carries himself. I thought he had one practice where we kind of were like, man, I don't, the first padded one, that was like the first time that he had a couple incompletions. I'm thinking more now, it was a small sample size as opposed to like something that, needs to be to watch for. And that, that kind of happens. You're day 6 of camp and there's a couple bad plays. Like, we're kind of making a lot of everything early. And then as you get more context. So I think as the context has come together there, like, I'm not really worried about any of that stuff. I think he's going to get open. I think he's going to make plays, and Jarvis is just an absolute
And to
artist.
piggyback off your Olave point real quick, like, he's not going to see more physical press coverage in the NFL than what he's seeing in training camp.
Well, I mean,
right?
they'll hit him a little harder than
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, the
those jams
quality
jam a little bit more when they're
but
when
the
you're
quality
trying
of DBs, like, you're going against Marshawn and these guys, like, you're going against, as relatively speaking, as good as you're going to see in the defensive backfield. And
the test is steep.
the test is steep, yeah, exactly. And you was getting the Jarvis.
No, he's just an artist, man. He's just always open.
Oh, wait.
He's
Did you just give him a nickname?
He's an artist, man.
Jarvis the artist? Like,
you can call him whatever you want, but he's open, man. They just constantly. So, those three guys, I think they make it very easy for the quarterback to make throws, and
present themselves as viable targets.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I mean, just after what we saw last year, and this is like just from a person that's just watching the games, right? It's a more enjoyable product when you have like explosive weapons and Mike Thomas is on the field. So I'm just looking forward to just watching offense. Like last year, it was like, oh, offense off the field, I ain't tripping. The defense is on there. Now it's it's going to kind of feel good to think about it a little bit differently.
Before we change topics, sign up for the site tomorrow morning. Article
Please.
dropping inside of how Jarvis sets up his routes, how he runs his routes, what he's looking at, how he counters people, all that stuff. NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. All the coverage, practice reports, all that stuff. Support the site, and we got that dropping tomorrow morning. I'm excited about that article. I like the article, so check it out.
Yeah, I kind of been like, I knew that article was coming. I'm not gonna say how I knew because I want people to know, but I was like, oh, he about to drop that Jarvis article. So I was just waiting on when it was coming. So you mentioned Alvin, and you don't read a lot about him, but I was listening to DA, I think it was yesterday, and DA was doing a press conference, and I got the quote in front of me saying, I've seen an extra gear in Alvin. He has an opportunity to take his game to the next level. So whatever he is, and I'm bouncing around here, which is fun. It's the best way to do pods, but it just feels like DA has somehow gotten players to, like, I don't know, man. It just like he's gotten a lot of buy-in from just players and just like the guys who he needed, from the big guys to the Mario Davises, the Cam Jordans, the Jameis Winstons, the Alvin Kamara's, the Mike Thomas, etc. But he was just speaking about AK and just how he thinks that he has a chance to have a big year and even be a better player than he's been. So it just kind of goes to show, like, these guys, like, the superstars are still superstars, right? Alvin is still Alvin.
Yeah, no question. Alvin looks good, man. He looks healthy. He's moving. When he gets the ball, it's just different. You're kind of watching these other running backs, and he's not like, they aren't using him a lot, but like when they use him and you see him, you see it, and it's just different. And
he's a metahuman.
He's just. Yeah, I mean, he looks good. He looks really good. He looks ready to go. Just you put him on the field, he plug and play, and he's going to do his thing. And
the rookie Abram Smith was like, someone was asking him, like, who does he look at? And they were saying Alvin. He was like, yo, well, Alvin's different. Like, I'll like try to take certain things, but like Alvin is, you can't try to be Alvin. You're not going to be Alvin, right? I got to be who I am. So just goes to show he's in a different category, as the other running backs in the room.
Yeah, so. I don't have a lot to say about Alvin, man. It's just he looks really good. He looks like himself. I think he's going to be ready to go. The one thing I'll say for Jameis, one of the things that I think we were seeing before the foot injury was a little bit more in rhythm throws to the flats and stuff like that. So I think that's going to bode well for them if that carries on into the season. Yeah, just a lot of that stuff seems easier, a little bit more natural. It's not breeze, I don't think
it will never be, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And there's still, a couple things, there was a screen that didn't quite connect the right way. And, just a couple things that, I think still could be a little bit better, still slightly a work in progress. But I think if someone watched all the practices from last year to this year, just that process of getting the ball out quickly to the guys in the backfield, it's definitely better right now. I don't know how it manifests in the season. Live bullets start flying and old instincts can kick in, but right now it looks good. So, I think that's a positive thing for the team. And look, I think overall the ball's just coming out quicker. Like you see the you can kind of watch the reads, watch how far the head's moving and stuff. And with Ian Book, it's definitely a lot further and there's more going on. And like with, Jameis is kind of boom, boom out. And,
No,
I think he's doing a better job of that this year. And the other thing he's doing too is, you kind of see him recognizing coverage in practice and exploiting it quickly. There was a play the other day with Olave. He's at the line of scrimmage, kills the play, calls a new one. Olave's down the field and there's nobody
I saw
covering him.
that. Oh
So
man,
like, there's just a lot of stuff that he's doing that, I
Yeah.
think is looks improved from
It's gonna
last year.
sound crazy, but it sounds like he's managing the game, right? I mean, he's aware of things. He's aware of coverages. He's aware of looks. He's aware of distribution, splits, etc. And that's what the job of the quarterback is: to manage the game and and get the ball to the right guys. And so, just the fact that you said that things look. I mean, I know that at some point you're gonna hit me with a stat in the text. Time to throw. Jameis Winston from dropbacks, and I know you usually kind of chart those, chart that number. So it'll be interesting to see, what that looks like this year compared to last year, because last year, obviously, he held the ball a lot longer than what is typical in this offense, and so it'd be good to see that number come down a little bit. Talk a little bit about the injury and just what's the latest on that, just for a quick update there.
Minor injury, he'll be back soon. It's nothing that I think anybody's. I don't think there's concern about it really anywhere. And that was kind of the tone of it, like immediately. Still the tone today. So I don't think it's anything that changed. I don't think it's anything that's a big deal.
Okay. Yeah.
I doubt he plays this weekend.
I wouldn't feel he even played if he wouldn't have been hurt. But anyway,
it'll and we'll see. We'll see from there.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see him in Green Bay, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we broke that story here at NewOrleans.Football too.
Yeah, we did.
Put that out there just in case you guys didn't know. I made it known too. You know me, I have no shame. It's like heard first. I'll say this about Jameis, and Vanette said it. Nick Vanette gave a couple of interviews.
Shout out to NFL Network for never punking us on our stories. So
yeah,
shout out to those guys.
Yeah, they do like to.
Yeah, they give credit.
Game recognized game. Yeah. You just can't put that out there.
Shout out to NFL Network.
What's up, rap sheet? Holla at you. Yeah, no, for real though. Like creative people in their stories though. For real. All right, moving on. I was gonna go. I had another comment. I was like, nah,
let it go.
We good. Yeah, I was listening to Vanette. Man, Vanette gave a really good interview. It's like a little bit different than you hear from most players. He was talking about like working on this mental process, and like, he sounds like a guy that kind of knows exactly what he is as a player, etc. But he was talking about Jameis, and I don't know, man. It sounds like if every player, like you hear Jarvis talk about Jameis, you hear Vanette talk about Jameis, a lot of these other guys. Vanette, just to highlight, high level some of the things he said. He's basic. If you didn't know that he was hurt last year, then you wouldn't think he was injured, which kind of, you've been reporting that too, and it kind of bodes well to, his health. Obviously, he has his ankle at the moment, but I think, he'll get over that. But yeah, he was just like, he's exactly what you want at the quarterback position, just being a leader, the energy he brings. He works hard as the receivers when they were in Miami, and all these different details about it. So, we've spoken on this pod about how this team became a better team when the culture got right, when they got, the DeMario Davises in the locker room, and some other guys who won't need to name. And so it just seems like from a leadership perspective, coming from the quarterback, and it's something that we're used to seeing in New Orleans because Drew was here for so long, but it just seems like Jameis seems to have a really good grip and a really good buy-in from pretty much everybody on the entire team, right? And I just think that, him knowing that it'll give him confidence as a player going into the season. And, like I said, it can't do nothing but bode well for the team when the guys are like behind their quarterback like that.
Yeah, look, I think he definitely has a leadership style that people like. I think Drew definitely had a leadership style too that worked. So
yeah. And it got to be the same. It just got to be leadership, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's asserted himself. He's doing what he needs to do to make it his team. People are working out with him outside of the facility. All that stuff's good. And I think he just generally has some respect in the locker room, and people are buying into that, and he's able to assert that more this year than he had been in the past. So I like the stuff we see from Jameis, consistently, and he kind of lets us see inside of his regimen, and you kind of get to know him a little bit through these the do the social media posts like straight up.
Supernola from
Yeah.
Supernola. Those,
Yeah, real Supernola. Follow him. He's always got the Jameis all
always
off
got
season.
the Jameis plug.
Yeah.
For
So
real.
so
What's your how do you like if you were coming into covering the Saints for the first year and you didn't know anything about this team, like what would your thoughts be on Jameis as a quarterback? Like what you've seen
I think
from
he
him
looks
thus
good
far?
in this camp isolated. He looks good in this camp. I think he looks significantly better than the other quarterbacks in the camp. The offense was like balling like the last few days. Like, man, they went 11 for 12 in one-on-ones the one day, and the only one that didn't connect was a drop. And like the defense had been playing really well, so it's not
Let me
like
guess. I think that was the Kevin White drop. Was that the
no.
Okay.
It was I think it was Kirk Merritt, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't
I
Kevin
I know
White.
White had one drop that I read about. Yeah, but okay.
White really hasn't been like he was dropping the ball a lot early, and he hasn't been lately.
That's what it was earlier in the camp. Yeah.
Yeah, he was dropping the ball early in camp, and like lately, it's been a little bit better.
I want him to do well, man. I don't know. There's just something about that guy.
I think Kevin White has a chance of making the team. Special teams being the pathway on. I think he has a chance of making the team, and it would. If you're watching the practices, like it would make a lot of sense if he were on the team for special teams. And
I'm reading about Merritt. I'm reading about Baker. I'm reading about White. I'm reading about Dixon. Yeah, it's like, man, it just feels like
Aesop Winston is playing well.
It's like, man, they got receivers galore, and it's like it's crazy the difference a year makes, right? So yeah, it's just going to lead to a more fun offense to watch, right? And I think that's what we all want.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting at wide receiver, man. I think, obviously Jarvis, Mike, Olave, Hardy, Traquan, I think are all locked in, and then there's competition.
Callaway down, it gets to be,
I think Kevin White's got a chance to make the team, man. I think he really does.
Yeah, he made
it's going to be interesting to see the configuration of the roster. Like,
yeah.
There's ways to keep a lot of guys at one position if you need to, and you want the special teams contributor. That's fine. So it's I mean, it's gonna be fascinating to see how the roster comes together. But
it's easy to keep 7 wide receivers if Kevin White is a core special teamer, right? Like it's so there's a few things that you can do, in that area. And they by the way, they got the new kid, Rashid Shaheed, who, man, I saw
he moves well.
I saw his little Weber State highlight reel, and I was like, "Oh, Weaver, my bad. No disrespect to the Weaver State people, but yeah, I was like, all right, Deontay, this dude, like, he got some juice, and it's just, it's competition, right? And I think that almost every single player that you hear do an interview, they talk about competition, right? And they talk about competing. And DA brought it up, and he talks about it, and I think it's manifesting itself on the field. Even Rap Sheet was talking about it. He was like, this practice was these guys was getting at it, and Van Nett in his interview I've been talking about, he alluded to it a little bit more too, saying, hey, the energy on this team is different. We're competing harder. The energy is just different. So it's competition everywhere, and the wide receiver is one of those spots where that when we look at the final 53, even the first round of cuts, but specifically the last round, I'm definitely going to be looking at some of those guys and kind of seeing how they navigate that. So
they're getting at me a little bit in the comments. Look, Traquan Smith has played well in camp. Like, I'm sorry, but we got the number breakdown on the site. He's the number 3 wide receiver in catches in camp by significant margin. Like, he's getting the ball, he's getting open, they're throwing him the ball. Like, we can only talk about the stuff we're seeing. We can't talk about the stuff we feel in our emotions or anything. Like, objectively, he's having a camp that warrants significant lockness right now on a roster spot. Like, could it slip in the preseason? Yeah, sure. Someone else could rise up and he gets knocked out and you go with the younger player or something like that, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely possible for I think anybody that isn't Mike Thomas, Chris Olave, or Jarvis Landry. So like those 3 are the only true locks. I mean, I think really on that depth chart where it's just completely inconceivable that anything else could happen. But
yeah,
look, when we're talking about the stuff that's happened, like Traquan's getting open, he's making plays, he's a consistent target in team drills. That's all we can go off of. But like,
Objective football analysis, man. That's all we
That's
do
it.
here.
And I'm not saying
That's
we're
all we do.
absolutely right or absolutely wrong. I'm telling
This
you
is
like why my opinion is formed in
yeah,
the place it is. And it's not off feeling, it's just off of what exactly we're seeing. And I mean, what we're seeing is he's overwhelmingly separated from, I think, there's the top four, and I think it's overwhelmingly separated from everybody else based on what we've seen in the team drills.
yeah, 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 yep. I mean, look, and I'll say this, and I think that with Mike Thomas, Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry on the team, then you get to use Traquan in the ways that he is, specifically really good at, right? And so he doesn't have to fill the number 2 wide receiver slot, right?
He's
Because
got to
that's
fill four.
yeah, exactly. And so and look, he might be a number 2 when he's healthy. Unfortunately, we kind of never got to find out because he never was able to just really, really stay on the
Yeah.
field. And he spoke a little bit candidly about like, it's just a luck thing, really. And which why we don't really like kill people for injuries. Because I'm like, man, like injuries just happen, man. Like, I get hurt walking up the stairs, right? These dudes playing football way more physical. And so it's just, stuff happens, right? But I think, if he's in a lesser role with lesser pressure on him, and he probably is going to have to play lesser snaps, then I think I like him better in that role, and I think that's that's a good way to look at it. I was expecting you to dig at me to like put myself in the injury thing again because I got to every pod, but you let me slide on that one, so I appreciate that, Nick. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just saw it as an opportunity to inject myself into the conversation. That's all. I got to do it once a pod. Go ahead.
I kind of like look. Let me say this: like, I think he absolutely has to go into a season, improve everything. Like, it's there's been hype before, it hasn't come together, and it's to the point where he's got to show it, improve it. And I kind of hate how I get backed into like kind of taking up too much for him than I want to, but like the way people talk about him, it's so opposite that it's like trying to correct the conversation. It's like you gotta
Yeah.
speak a little bit more than you probably want to about somebody. So I mean, that's kind of where it pushes it because it's just always like, and it's just like, you can't say these things like based on what's actually happening in these practices, and that's just kind of where it's at right now. But yeah, I mean, look,
Man.
he's got to prove it. He's got to do things during a season and actually make plays, and I think that's a big deal right now for him because we haven't seen it consistently throughout his career. And he makes good catches. He's a physical player. He's
right.
he's in position to make those kind of plays, and it's just not enough though. He's always hurt, and that's a huge deal. And at some point you got to have a 600 or 700 yard season, like is a third round pick. So I mean that's an issue too. So I mean,
but
there's
like
still
I said,
a lot of
if you're number 4, then like I said, then
Yeah.
and you're on a contract that's not significant, and you're one of the better blockers, and your role. I think that's a good spot for him, right? And so, and it's funny. I was reading the comments. Jordy brought up the Valdez Scantling thing, and it's crazy. I was thinking as soon as I saw it, I was like, man, sometimes the moves are the best moves are the ones you don't make, right? Because like you rather have Jarvis Landry for $3 million than Valdez Scantling for 10 or 11, whatever it's going to pay him. So I think it's just kind of cool how everything worked out in the end, and kind of that patience that you said that the team exhibits, that they showed this offseason where, it's kind of things in the panic. Oh, they're not doing anything in free agency, and stay patient, and they landed, Honey Badger and Jarvis Landry, so it all worked out.
Yeah.
Let's get into what's going on with Chauncey. Let's cover that. Let's to get an update on that situation. He was holding in at one point, then he had to take a day to take care of something personal, and now he's back in practice. So how's he looking? Are there any updates there? And what's the fun takes?
I don't really got any takes on it other than like he's practicing fully.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he made some good plays today. He had a nice run blitz on Mark Ingram. I put him down as having the play of the day. One-on-ones, he broke up a nice pass, hitch, physical play. That's really it. I think it's interesting that before Alante Taylor got hurt today, the starters on defense in the slot was Bradley Roby. Yesterday it was Bradley Roby. So I found that interesting. I think it's I think it's a situation that I think it's got to resolve somehow. It's somehow like everybody's got to come together. I don't know what that's going to be over.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think it's in everybody's interest to,
Figure it
find a
out.
resolution. Yeah,
Yeah,
somehow,
yeah.
one way or another. So,
And I mean, I'll say this. I mean, if Roby is having a good camp and he's on the field, I could understand the coaching staff putting him in there with the ones. Like I could see that train of thought, right? Just because you're trying to, you want to play a guy, but you want whoever's going to be the slot, you want them to have some play time on the field with the guys who's going to be the starters. And so, if you're not sure if one guy's going to be available or not, then I understand, because you got to look out for the interest of the team at the end of the day. And I don't blame Chauncey for looking out for his interest neither, but the coaching staff and the team they're going to do the same.
yeah, I mean, look, I think if Chauncey's on this team, like you got to play him. Like I think that's just,
Oh, definitely.
yeah. I think if he's on this team, you got to be playing him. And
Definitely.
yeah, so I don't know what the resolution here is. Obviously I think he wants a new contract, and I think he's, judging from, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth or anything, but just judge him from the actions of not practicing. I mean, it seems like he wants a new contract, and it's something that bothers him. So,
Yeah.
I don't, is there a way to get through the season without that? If there isn't a resolution to, an agreement on both sides, can they reach a resolution? I just don't have enough information on what's happening behind the scenes, honestly. Like I don't know what the contract situation is. I don't know what the demands are. I don't know where the team's at. And that kind of makes it hard to analyze, that aspect of it. But it's just,
we'll see, man.
it's something that it's just one way or another. It just kind of feels like it's gotta, there's some heat has to come off of it. It just kind of feels like it's simmering a little bit, and you want it to stop simmering so that it doesn't boil over.
Yeah, I don't know if strong arming this front office will work for. I just don't think it works.
Well, it has. It has multiple times. Mike Thomas held out, got a contract. Alvin held out, got a contract. Brian Ramczyk held out and got a contract.
Holding out is not a strong arming.
It is though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but
that's withholding your services to get a contract.
Well, but I get that, but I think some of the extracurricular stuff is what I just think that's the stuff that probably does like more. I don't think Mickey Loomis sees a holdout and says, "All right, well, this guy's being a difficult player and he's going to be a problem or anything." Like I don't think GM see holdouts that way, right? But I just think that when it comes a little bit more than a holdout or hold in, right? I just think that sometimes
he's practicing though, so he ain't even doing that. So I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just hope I think, like you said, for all parties, it's best if it resolves itself. And even if there's not a contract, I think Chauncey just goes out there and he just plays at the level he's been playing and just be a good player. Then he's going to get that money that he's looking for.
It's just, it's weird because it feels hot, but he's working.
He's playing well. Yeah.
He's working. Like he's at work, he's working, but like the situation feels hot. Like it just feels hot.
It feels hot.
Yeah. So
hot.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't got a lot more to say about it. So that's it.
Yeah, I was going to just say, hey man, we don't need to speculate on it here. Does nobody any good. But yeah, just something that's going on with the team, and it's a big deal. You can't ignore it. The on the flip side, something that is positive is that Marcus Davenport returned to, I guess he's off the pup now. So just speak to it and any thoughts you have about it, because it's a big deal.
Yeah, he's out of practice. Just another guy that I think needs to stay healthy.
Big time.
Yeah. He was out there though, so I mean that's a good development. It puts him closer to action, and being out there, like I think seeing him realistically makes week 1 a target. Whereas I was kind of hearing he was shortly back. I don't know if I'd call day 11 like a quick return to camp, but it's not like a huge deal
not
either.
Big deal though. Yeah, like 2 weeks in the camp is like. Yeah,
but it's at the point where you start like wondering, like, is he going to be all right? So
it's because of the player, though, right? Because of the history. If it was like
just anyone, though, but that felt like it was lingering. I didn't know if there was a setback or something. But yeah, seeing him out there makes week 1 realistic. I think he's extremely important to everything they do. I think having those big dudes on the ends makes life a lot easier for the linebackers to make plays in the running game. And you got 2 guys that are going to be sound now. So I mean, I think that sets that up for a good. A good easy situation there. So he's imperative to everything they do. And seeing Peyton Turner kind of come on. I think Carl Granderson's playing a better style of football. So I just think that there's a lot of things setting up for those DNs to be really good this year. And
Yeah.
I think he's, probably the most talented one in that group. So it's significant. It's big. He said the finger doesn't affect him on it.
Or they're
More
like
so with
lifting weights
lifting
or
weights.
something.
So
Yeah.
I guess he said there's like an adjustment, but he downplayed it. I don't. It's kind of like you kind of got to decipher some
If
of
you're
the
trying to
stuff he
bench
says.
press and you like missing a pinky on one side though, like you're gonna have to like
Oh, no
hold that
question. But I'm
part.
saying like
Yeah.
on the field though, like he said, like there's an adjustment, but it's not a big deal. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
guess it's
It's
not
kind
a
of hard to
thing.
like decipher what he's saying
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah, because he's like he's wired a little bit differently. But yeah, it's crazy. He was talking about like he just says things matter of fact, like, well, I just don't have a choice but to beat the guy in front of me. It's
Yeah.
like what other option is there to not dominate this man? But he's saying it in such like a soft manner. It's just a little weird. Like it's like a big you juxtapose what he's saying versus how he's saying it. DA spoke about him. He's like, he's one of the best players on the team when he's healthy. And they just saying they don't want to rush him. And I from the sounds of it, and this comment kind of caught me. He was like, he made it seem like there was going to be like a maintenance plan on him for this year. Kind of maybe something similar to what you're seeing with Ramchick, where hey, like the goal is to make sure this guy's healthy and he's going to be available, et cetera. And and that's kind of like how they're approaching that situation with him. But he did speak about Matt Rhea.
It's gonna be scientific. Whatever they do with these guys, it's gonna be scientific, data driven, and I think kind of on the cutting edge of that thinking, that industry. So
yeah,
for a guy like him, I think having that change is gonna be. I'm not gonna say it's gonna help him, but I think it's
get worse,
probably the
can it?
best thing for him. Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
gives him the best chance. It's
Right.
if you're gonna kind of place a bet, like you kind of want that on your side on it. So I mean, yeah, that's a good thing for him. Yeah.
Yeah. Hope he stays healthy, man. He's a fun player to watch when he's on the field. Like you just see offensive linemen flying all over the place when he's on the field, right? He stands out. And so, yeah, hopefully he stays healthy. So you brought up Peyton Turner. Just an update on him. How's he looking? I know he started off, camp pretty well, and then
He looks good. Yeah, he looks good. He's still continuing to do all that stuff. He's, I think he's fast. You see the speed. That's one thing that stands out. It seems like he's making, a good amount of plays out there. So, yeah, I think he's on the right track.
Unfair question to you. Feel free to decline it. Answer it. How would you compare his and Davenport's second camps?
Davenport had a lot of injuries in these camps, man. So, I mean,
yeah,
that's an impossible question to answer. Like
that's why I called it an impossible question.
Every camp, yeah.
I know it was totally unfair. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've seen some camp highlights with Peyton Turner in him, and I was like, man, he moves kind of too fast for a guy as big as he is.
He does.
So it's like, man, like how is it's kind of crazy just seeing the guy that big move like that, and yeah, it's just kind of jarring, which it obviously bodes well for them. And DA spoke about how they like their DNs. I'll tell you this. When the draft is coming up this year, if there's a 6'8" defensive end with long arms, that's why I'm mocking to the Saints, because they like them how they like them. So
they're asking about Lattimore in there. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a slight hamstring pull. He's been working out off to the side. I don't think it's anything to worry about.
Yeah. That he's just get him healthy. That's the whole goal with that. And it's kind of the thing. That's the goal coming out of camp, really, right? I mean, obviously you want to compete and get better, but after last year, you just want to see guys available and on the field. So, one guy who is, maybe flirting with camp MVP that nobody's talking about is Will Lutz.
26 of 27. Yeah, and the one kick he missed, that 56 yards. 56? I don't know. I got it in the notes 56. yesterday, Monday's notes. Yeah, 56. And then he came out, hit it again. Like everybody left it. He came out and he's like, no, I got to hit this. Then he hit it. So, yeah, he looks good. Everything's going in. He's got
but
distance.
That's important.
He's at the 57 yards. Yeah. So it's huge. It's huge.
So
it's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like it's not Mike Thomas level, but it's like a percentage of that. Because they lost games because they didn't have a kicker last year, and you can see it. Like the kicker was the reason. So getting him back is, all pro level or at least Pro Bowl level kicker. That's a big deal. So I haven't heard much about Well, let's just a little an update on the left tackle battle, because I don't think we spoke about it last pod, or maybe we did, but it's probably one of the biggest battles. I think it's probably the only battle on the team at the point, because CB2 kind of feels taken care of, and
I don't
yeah.
know if I'd agree with that.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think Roby's playing good enough football that I think it something. Tides could turn.
It's possible
Tides could
that
turn. Yeah, tides could turn. I mean, yeah, I think Adebo's in there right now, but I mean, it's not. I don't think it's the door shut. Like Roby's playing that good. I mean,
that's crazy, man.
yeah. I mean, if you were doing a list of camp standouts, he's in the top 5. So I mean, if you're that close, yeah. I mean, I'm not doing that yet. So
is Adebo still your camp MVP?
I don't know. I'd have to think
now.
about it. I'd have to think about it. I mean, I think Olave is right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
like MVP of the whole camp.
I mean, I think so. Yeah. I mean, he's
just the fact that he's in the conversation is like crazy. Yeah.
He's making a lot of plays. He's made the most plays on offense. He's had a couple big plays. He's getting open consistently all over the field. He's got, I think, better chemistry with the quarterback than maybe some of the other guys. Like everything's in rhythm and going. Jarvis is I think he's caught up somewhat in that chemistry thing, but it kind of started out like at a certain, it took a little bit. He was like 50% or something, and then, kind of caught on. So they're on the same page now. So, but yeah,
Jarvis said that this was the hardest playbook he's had to learn in his career.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah. And, Mike's closing in on that though, man.
Mike is going to end up being the guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of take it through the list. I mean, yeah, I think Olave's up there, man. He's having a really good camp. He's having a really good camp. Yeah, I don't know if I'd crown him like so. Yeah, I don't want to see the.
But he's in the conversation, right?
Yeah, I don't want the Roto World like Chris Olave is camp MVP. I don't want that. So do not do that to me.
Draft him.
I'm just kind of like brainstorming through thoughts here. But yeah. I think he's in the mix. So he's had a really good camp, man. He's leading the team in catches.
All right,
so I mean,
you said top 5.
That's
top
objective.
5. Olave, Roby, Adebo.
Don't do that to me. I don't know. I don't know. I can't do that right now. Like I'd have to really sit down and think about it. But I mean, those guys are all kind of in that conversation. They've all had really good camps.
Hey, y'all, I'm gonna make Nick answer that on the subscriber pod Friday. So y'all get ready for that. Sign up for NewOrleans.Football and you can get the top 5 rankings for Nick's camp MVP thus far. There you go.
Oh, left tackle though. Yeah, no, I think it's a decent battle. It's closer than I thought it was going to be. I think Penning's in that mix, and I think Hurst is still ahead, but it's probably closer at this point than I thought it was going to be when we were kind of talking about it heading into camp.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I was listening to, I think it was Cam speak about him, and he said that he's an offensive lineman, obviously. So Cam he wouldn't give him a direct compliment, but he made it seem like he was further ahead in the run game than he was in the pass game, and so, but yeah, it's just the fact that it's a battle and it's still going on and Penn is looking good. That's what you want. You draft him in the first round. He's got the physical tools to do it. So, yeah. One other guy that you've spoken about in a tweet, who you tweeted it maybe a few days ago, 4 or 5 days ago, about the receivers and how many guys had how many catches. And Trotman was at the top. And I don't think he's at the top anymore, but DA basically said that he's made a pretty significant jump and he's one of the more well-rounded players on the Saints roster. And a lot of that has to do with just his health. And I even heard Taysom Hill speaking about him, saying just how smart he was. And Van Nett did the same thing. Everyone talks about how smart the guy is too. And it's, so just, have you seen that from him? What are you seeing from him? And
yeah, he's only really had one big mistake. He had a fumble in one of these practices. That was really the only big mistake he's made. But yeah, he's getting open and he's making the plays he's supposed to make. And that was the issue with him before. It was, kind of the
consistency.
The consistency, concentration stuff. And it seems better so far. It's I'm putting him in that Traquan category where I got to actually see it when it counts, because, we've kind of been hyping him since the beginning on theory, and it just kind of hasn't manifested in actual production. But overall, yeah, I think he's having, based on what we're seeing, he's having a good camp. I think based on what we're seeing, and again, hedging this with the thought process of we need to actually see it when it matters. But based on what we're seeing, I think there's reasons to be optimistic about where his path could be leading.
If he plays well enough in the preseason, will you call him big fish, or does he have to earn that back in the regular season?
I mean, he's got to make some plays, man. He's got to make some plays. I don't know that he's lost the title, but I mean, it's
He ain't got a good, hard, strong grip on it though. It ain't. It's loose.
Yeah, but I think he could get there, man. So I mean, I think it's but yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that we gotta see from him. And we've talked about this before. The circumstances surrounding everybody in that class was kind of tough.
Bro, you took the next topic off my head. There you go.
Like yeah. I mean, like you draft, like they at the time, Peyton said like they drafted guys that they thought could contribute right away, but like in hindsight, they drafted a center that they moved to guard, a defensive end that they moved to linebacker, and a tight end out of Dayton. So I think all these guys needed some seasoning to settle in to their roles and kind of be what they were going to be. And as far as coming from Dayton, that's a big leap. So we'll see what they all
position
look.
Too. That's a really tough position.
We'll see what they all look like. They all had a proper offseason. I think you kind of like extend maybe the evaluation period a little bit, but I mean, this is the do or die kind of crossroads where I need to see something, or I'm going to stop thinking about the potential.
Yeah. What about the other two guys from that class? What is how Ruiz, obviously a right guard, and Zach Bond?
He's been hurt. Bond's been hurt, so I haven't seen anything. I think linebacker, they got Eric Wilson. I like Eric Wilson. I think he's having a good camp.
He's their backup Will, right?
He'd be in the middle, I think, if DeMario went down. Yeah. So then
I know they were looking for Mike Depth, so I didn't know if that. Okay.
Yeah, I think if DeMario went down, he'd probably play in the middle.
Okay.
So yeah, and then I think Caden Ellis has been okay, but I think they could still use. I think if you were looking at a spot where they could add a guy like that, potentially be it.
DA had a pretty interesting comment about Caden Ellis. Someone asked, what should Caden Ellis be doing? And DA said exactly what he's doing right now. So I was like, okay, well, and that's not like, this guy's going to be a Pro Bowler player, but it feels like that was kind of he's giving him some confidence in saying, hey, I feel good about this guy's potential linebacker depth. So, yeah. And, that's just, you can't go any wrong with that. Yeah, the last thing for me is man, I haven't heard much about Onyemata. I think he had a tip ball today. You wrote about, but just how's he looking? Is he still? I mean, some of these guys you just know what they are, so it's kind of you don't have to see it all the time. But I don't think I've heard much about him thus far.
Yeah, in general, he looks like himself. He's made a few plays. There's some pressure. I think just overall, it's just been kind of as expected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Just one final thing. 2 weeks into camp, just your thoughts on like how DA is kind of acclimated to, it being, because it feels like things are just going smooth, man. Like it just feels like it's just.
Well, yeah, this is what we were talking about though. Like when we said making him the head coach is continuity, and then everything operates as it should, and you have a team that should be a contender that stays in place as a contender, and there aren't these bumps and bruises, and you aren't having fights with the players and the coaches like you see in some other places where there's a new head coach, or you got a whole
the offensive line coach.
Yeah, everything you kept you kept the defensive system in place, you kept the offensive system in place, and everything should operate as it should. I mean, we'll see in the season. That's where the proof is. But yeah, this is what we were talking about when everybody wanted change for the sake of change. Like it was just like, why are you doing that? Like, what's the point of it? You have a good team. They won a pretty good amount of games considering everything they went through last year. If you just go in and you blow it up for the sake of blowing it up, when you have a guy who is clearly qualified to be a head coach and has earned that, and you're just like, well, we're going to do something different for the sake of doing something different. When your team isn't trash, you're going to get bad reactions and people are going to revolt to that. And that's kind of how you blow up a good nucleus. So
wreck the culture. Because even Mark Ingram was talking about like, yeah, we didn't need to blow it up. Like,
yeah, it's going to be a crazy thing to do. So, I mean, that was kind of why the take was what it was the whole offseason. Like, no, they shouldn't look anywhere. Like, sure, these people are interesting, but like, you have something here that you need to continue. And that was the reason for it. And, I just
already got buy-in from the players too, right?
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about that.
They changed their head coach, and it's like, as insane as this sounds, like it's kind of not a story yet. And it might become one later, but it's not one yet. And it's just because it
just works like it is. It's a machine.
It's smooth. Yeah, you aren't noticing. The rudders aren't. So you know, it feels like they're in a good place. But yeah, the proof will be in the pudding. We'll see it in the season. You know, I think there's stuff we got to see about how plays are called and decisions that are made and all that stuff. And you know, at some point it might become a thing where
he's got to do
that analysis changes. But right now
right.
it feels like it's hard to argue with their thought process.
Yeah, he feels really prepared for this job, right? It just he feels like he's really comfortable. It feels like he's comfortable with the players, the coaches, which he should be. He's been here, right? But it just feels like, at least right now, right? And their games have to be played, and there's a lot of time between now and us coming to the conclusion on if that was a good decision or not. But at least in the short term, it just feels like the right thing. And I was just listening to players talk about him and listening to him, and I was like, oh man, he's got this head coach thing figured out already. You know, just at least like media, and you know, I like how he talks about injuries. You know, it's just, I don't know. I just think he's kind of doing things this way, and I think it's working out well for him. And the players seem like they're buying in him pretty big. So it's, you know, good to see, man. Got to be happy for DA. So. All right, man. That's all we got. A lot of topics, man. I'm just looking through my list of topics, and we pretty much hit on all of them. So, that's what training camp is like. It's just a lot of stuff. It's happening fast. There's new news every single day, and there's only one place to get it. via the chat, DJ.
Shout out to DJ, man. He's doing great work, killing it.
DJ put his name on the screen though. You ain't gonna say nothing about that, you know?
Nah, man, he deserves it, man. Man deserves his props. He's been an incredible asset to the site. I think everybody sees the work on social media. So
for real. Shout out to DJ.
Brandon too.
Yep. You can see the jersey numbers. You know, everything is all clear and 8K. You know, I gotta like put the pictures back sometimes, man. It's too much information, but yeah, man. Shout out to Brandon, DJ, everybody at NewOrleans.Football, man. This is it's fun seeing how things are coming together, right? When you look at how things are going on Instagram, and there's a lot of if you're not following NewOrleans.Football on Instagram, then NewOrleans.Football, just go look it up. You know, there's posts there, your tweets are there. It's like all a well-oiled machine, man. It's just fun to see how things have like grown in such a short amount of time, and you know how much more they're going to grow in a pretty relatively not long amount of time from now. So it's good, man. You guys should sign up because we want you to sign up, and we're trying our best to put a good product out here. So we'd appreciate your support. So go to NewOrleans.Football/subscribe and sign up. And if you already signed up, give a sign up to someone and show them what they're missing. Whatever you do, any way you can support it. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next week. We out.
Nick and Kel, I got you. We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
As you can tell, last year it was an off year, but we reloaded and now it is our boss year. Ceedy back there and yeah, we got the badger. Don't forget my shun and don't forget the pass rush. Jameis QB1 dropping down to MT. Ball handed off the Alvin with the quick feet. So when you see the Saints marching, yeah, we gon' trouble you. At the Super Bowl party eating on them double. We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.